Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third annual Never Seen It Awards. I will be your host today. My name is Betsy, and with me, once again, we made it through another calendar year. My co-host, my husband, it's Trent.
Happy New Year, everybody.
So if you've been paying attention the last few years, this has become an annual tradition. What started as kind of a fluke throwaway idea out of necessity has become something we actually quite look forward to and put a lot more effort into than we did the very first year.
Yeah, that was kind of a slapdash thing at the last minute.
But how this is going to work is we have 11 categories that we have designed. There's one that we got rid of from last year and we've replaced it with something else. We have 3 nominees in each category with one ultimate winner of those 3. But the twist, because the podcast is about movies that we haven't seen, Trent is picking from movies he had never seen, and I am picking from movies I had never seen.
And we have chosen our own winners. We're going to discuss each category and why we picked what we picked.
And we have not discussed with each other what these nominees are, nor what the winners will ultimately be. We will be finding out at the same time as you, dear listeners.
Yes, and we have already gone by ourselves and re-listened to a bunch of our podcasts, and we have already chosen our winners and our nominees. This is not a deliberation podcast, nor is it the Podcast Awards. This is my choices and Betsy's choices separate.
But we always say there is no award that is actually going to be sent. There's no trophy, no ribbon, no certificate. Nothing will be delivered to the winners.
So far, nobody has come to our door demanding an award to be sent to them.
If we ever get someone of any kind of significance that wins one of these to demand it, I'll figure out a way to get it to them.
We'll do something.
But at this time, no, you can't have anything. This is just for shits and giggles. But with that out of the way, let's get down to it. Our first category is most surprising. This could mean anything you want it to mean. Again, Trent and I have our own interpretations of what we think that means. So Trent, what are your 3 nominees for most surprising movie that we watched in 2023?
So most surprising is the category we always start off with because I want to have some kind of positivity coming out of this here show. So my 3 nominees for most surprising start off with a movie that we did for our Decade series. Came out in 2013. It is About Time. Now, Betsy, About Time is a movie that I didn't really know much about. I remember seeing the poster for it. It is Rachel McAdams and another dude in the rain having a good time, and it looks like it's some kind of a romantic comedy kind of thing, and it is, but it's a lot more than that. As by the title, it is, it does have something to do with time and time travel. We're not actually going to be spoiling anything in this award show, so we're going to avoid trying to talk about a lot of details here. When we are going to spoil something, we'll make sure to warn you. But I came into it not really knowing much about it other than what I saw in the poster and my assumptions, and I was kind of blown away by how much I really liked it. It was really heartfelt. I cried a couple of times, and it was really great. My next one is actually American Splendor. American Splendor is one, again, I really didn't know anything about. It was, again, for our Decade series, and it came out in 2003. We didn't have a lot of good options to really go on in 2003. This one came up in a lot of different lists of, best of the year.
And it had been on our list a long time.
Yeah, and, we love Paul Giamatti, and we got to explore his career when we have an opportunity. But, of course, my winner, Betsy, might surprise you. My winner is Drop Dead Gorgeous.
What?
Yeah. because I didn't know anything. All of this is surprising in that I didn't know anything about it.
You're surprising me.
I literally thought Drop Dead Gorgeous was about a fashion show and it's a real thing and it was a comedy. But no, Drop Dead Gorgeous is a mockumentary, and it was one of the funniest movies that we watched all of this year.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy you picked that. And all of those movies, save the second one, were movies I had seen. So, of course, I can't pick Drop Dead Gorgeous.
You can't pick those, yeah.
But I am so happy that you actually enjoyed that one so immensely that we are still talking about it at our year end.
I even remember when we did that. It was March or April. It was a while ago.
Early this year.
But yes, Drop Dead Gorgeous, it is better than it has any right to be.
Well, wonderful.
Betsy, what do you got?
So my 3 nominees were All Quiet on the Western Front. So this is a foreign language film. This is a German movie.
Yeah.
It got nominated for Best Picture. And I'm just like, okay, this is going to be the one that we watch for Best Picture.
It's the big war epic.
Like, it's fine. There's usually one of these movies that's Best Picture that is fine. We're like not into it. It's not a bad movie.
Yeah.
But this movie starts with such a bang that has fucking stuck with me this entire year. The score is incredible.
Yeah.
It's not a uplifting movie by any means.
No.
But I just found it really interesting how high I ended up ranking that when you put it against all of the other movies. And I wasn't expecting to like that movie nearly as much as I did.
Yeah.
In the moment, it really blew me away.
And you're not really into like a whole lot of big war epics,
No.
like I mentioned. So us going into that and really enjoying a foreign language, this is all in German, there's hardly any English in it whatsoever, and it kept us engaged the entire way.
Definitely. My second nominee for this category is Eyes Wide Shut.
Okay.
We did a Smutty Sunday series earlier this year, and this is a movie that has a reputation. And you have been fed since 1999 that this movie is the orgy movie. It's the sexy movie. It's dirty and titillating, etc.
And Chris Isaac is there to narrate the entire thing, of course.
So to speak. And I found myself with an exact opposite reaction. Like, that stuff is what you heard about, but the majority of the movie is not about that. It has this great minimal score. It's really compelling. There is like just really dynamic stuff happening, and it's kind of mysterious and spooky, and yes, it's sexy and sultry at times.
It's this year's Basic Instinct. Because last year we did Basic Instinct for our Smut series back then, and we were just amazed at how great that movie was. Regardless of the fact that it's, sexy.
So I was just mostly surprised at the fact that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be at all, and I really liked it. I didn't expect to like Eyes Wide Shut. I thought it was just going to be another smutty movie in the sea of smutty movies that we were watching.
But you know what? It was a Kubrick movie, and he doesn't make crap.
No, he does not. And this was his last movie.
Yeah.
He took his time, and he delivered.
Good choice.
And my final nominee for most surprising was Network, because I have had this movie on my list. You know me, we've talked about it before, like the AFI 100 Years, 100 Movies, best movies of all time, best movies made in America, etc., etc. And I've had this movie on my radar since I was in high school. And I've heard people talk about Network is really good, and Network is this, and Network is that. But I never really looked into what the movie was and what it was about. And I watched that movie, if you listen to that episode, with my mouth agape, because I had no idea how funny, how sharp, how relevant it is almost 50 years later.
Yeah.
I was speechless. By the end of that movie, I was just like, are you kidding me right now?
And clearly we didn't know anything about that movie, because in the intro, if you re-listen to that one, we were completely wrong as to what the movie actually was. Our assumption was that it was going to be, this drama about, there's an anchor guy and he goes kind of crazy, and at the end of the movie he says the line that everybody knows. No, it's not that at all.
And of course, that is my winner, Network, because I was not prepared for what that movie was. For something that was made 50 years ago, I was expecting something very different, so it surprised the hell out of me.
Yeah. Another good choice. All right, next category is entitled Movie You Most Want to Rewatch Now. So, before we get into this, we actually have kind of an unsaid, unwritten rule about this podcast. So every movie that we watch is going to be a movie that either one of us haven't seen or both of us haven't seen. The rule is, before we do the award show, we're not allowed to watch that movie again before then. We can revisit the episode, the podcast episode, to get our reactions from back then, but we cannot actually watch the movie again to get a refresher.
We don't want to give any unfair bias to a movie above others.
Indeed. So that being said, when we get to me, I have a confession to make. But Betsy, you're up first. What are your 3 nominees?
So first up, I have True Romance, because I found that I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. I was just very intrigued by it. Like, it's such a vibe. And by the end of the movie, I'm like, yeah, I get why people like this. And I definitely enjoyed it. And now that I've done it once, it's like I rode the ride and I want to ride it again.
Yeah.
Because I want to get my head around it and I want to appreciate the things that I didn't know were coming.
Yeah, and I think I was watching that movie in the same kind of vein as I do any other Tarantino movie, in that there is a lot of stuff in this movie that you're never going to witness the first time you watch it. You kind of have to, like it's like a Pulp Fiction where you're going to have to watch it over and over again to see all the hidden things. Now, he didn't actually direct this movie, he just wrote it. So I'm still thinking about it in the same vein. So yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just been running through my head, and it's definitely one that I want to see again. My second nominee is Barbie.
Okay, yeah, yep.
Because it's one of those cultural moments from 2023 when people look back on this year, that is going to be in a top 10 moment that we are going to be talking about.
In the world of film, sure.
And it also delivered. Like, it's one of the rare movies that lived up to the hype. It's not for everybody. Not everybody in the world gets it. Not everybody is going to love it. But I just was so into it. They thought of every detail. They went to the nth degree. There's stupid crap hidden in the background. So it was thought out. It was layered. It was funny. But of course, as you said, we don't rewatch them. So I've been avoiding it. And finally, my third nominee for this is Looper. Because like True Romance, it's one that had been on our list for a while. It's Rian Johnson. It was really good, but it's another one of them mindfuck movies. And you have to do it a couple times before it really sinks in. All the little elements that you've been missing, or maybe you didn't notice, or that you actually understand the through line. These guys who make really smart movies, sometimes they're too smart for their own good, and I just need some time to catch up.
Yeah, I'm there with you. That is a movie that I really wanted to rewatch right away, because I'm sure there are things that I missed completely. And I have not as good of an understanding as I would have if I had seen it again.
But ultimately, my winner, it's Barbie, Trent. It is available on a platform that we have. But because we have this unwritten rule, and because it might also end up in the Best Picture conversation come January,
Yep.
we also don't rewatch movies for the Oscars as much as we might want to.
No, because a lot of those movies come out at the end of the year, and it's a lot harder to do because, we got to go to the theater, we got to pay to see it, and
we don't have time.
Or you got to rent it online. Yeah.
Last year, we literally watched a movie like 4 days before the Oscars, and we had to put out the episode late because we couldn't get it earlier than that.
Yeah, I think the thing came out on, it came out on a Wednesday for streaming. We did the episode that night and we put it out the next day.
So yeah, a lot of reasons why I'm not rewatching it, but if you're asking me which one do I most want to rewatch right now, it's definitely Barbie.
All right.
All right, Trent, what have you got for your 3 nominees?
All right, so the full disclosure I have to reveal here, there is a movie that I cheated.
You cheated!
I did watch this movie. I bought this movie. It was on sale. I had to watch it again. And if you listen to that episode, you can see why. I watched the Super Mario Brothers movie.
You were such a little dorky dork when that was coming out. You bought it the second it was available. Of course, you've already watched it again.
Yeah, and I did it by myself some Sunday morning, like a little kid would do, of course. So I cannot consider it for this thing. I had to reveal it just because, hey, punish me.
Playing by the rules of the game.
Indeed. All right, my 3 nominees. I'm right there with you with Looper. Looper is a movie that I definitely wanted to rewatch right away again, like I said. And now I'm thinking back to it, re-listening to our podcast, and I completely forget about some aspects of that movie. I just kind of want a refresher so that I have a complete understanding of it. My next one is a movie that we didn't really do a lot of action movies this year. My second one is John Wick Chapter 4.
Nice.
And mainly because I just want to relive all of the different set pieces and all the different action sequences and the story. Say what you want about an action movie not having a story. I really like this world of John Wick. Now, unfortunately, they came out with this TV show. It's in the world of John Wick. Apparently, it's terrible. So that's kind of a bummer.
But more is coming. There's another movie
There's
in the
going
works.
to be another movie coming. And yeah, I'm not going to spoil the end of John Wick 4. But, I mean, we listen to it now. And it doesn't really make any sense if they're going to make another one. But okay. And my third and final and my winner is not Barbie, it's Oppenheimer. So two sides of the same coin here.
Of course we did that.
Oh, Oppenheimer is a movie that takes up a lot of time and a lot of my headspace, Betsy, because maybe it's just a guy thing. Maybe it's just because I love historical drama.
It's your Roman Empire.
It is. That won't date this at all. But when I came out of that movie, I was beaming at like the construction of it. That movie took a Herculean effort to put all together, even though there's not really a lot that happens in it. It's a lot of dialogue, it's a lot of setup, it's a lot of background, and you're going back and forth in time. Just the way everything is presented and the production design all together. I just want to witness that entire project again.
And it's Christopher Nolan, another smart, maybe too smart for his own good filmmaker.
Yep.
And there's stuff I'm sure you missed.
Yeah.
All right, on the opposite side of that coin, instead of the movie you want to rewatch now, our next category is the movie you never want to see again.
Yeah, returning champion.
Trent, what are your 3 movies?
Oh boy. All right, so the first one is not a bad movie, but I just never need to see it again. My first one is Snowpiercer. Snowpiercer is a depressing fucking movie, and I just don't need to revisit that anytime soon, if ever.
You did it. It's done.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie. There are some aspects of it that are really, really well made, and we talked about it in the episode. But as far as the content of it, I just never need to revisit that. My next one is a part of our Hackers series. It's the first one we did. Betsy, I never need to see Swordfish ever again. Swordfish is a movie that is so ridiculous as a premise and on its face, just the way everything is shot and the way everything is put together. It is an incoherent mess of a movie. And yeah, I mean, just me knowing something about computers and not really hacking in general, but there's so much stuff in there that is completely unrealistic, even for the year 2000 when it came out. Yeah, Swordfish, it's just bad.
It's best left in the past.
Yeah. And my winner is actually a bad movie. My winner is Assassin's Creed. So Assassin's Creed is based on the video game franchise. We did it for our video game series, and we sat down to watch it kind of knowing that it wasn't going to be very good, just based on, reviews and
everything we've heard about it.
The zeitgeist was, hey, this movie's kind of bad. Maybe there's some good action sequences here and there, and there's some references to the video games and whatever else, but it's done in such a half-assed way that, man, you just kind of killed whatever kind of future hopes you had of making an entire movie series out of this thing, because there's fucking 50 games in that series that you could take from.
There's such a franchise that could have happened in the movies.
Right. And this is back when all these different movies franchises were starting to pop up. You could have been a part of it, but you made a bad first one and you killed it. You killed Assassin's Creed, guys.
Well, Trent, now might be a good time to tell you that my first nominee was Assassin's Creed.
Jeez, yeah.
It's almost unfair, though, because we knew it was gonna be bad. But when we got into it, it was more of a practice of, okay, how could this have been improved? How could we make it better? Was it irredeemable? Could they have salvaged this?
Yeah, and we gave it a fair shake. It's not like we're going in shitting on it completely. No, I analyzed it. I wanted to really dig into it, and we did. And yeah, they just completely failed.
Honestly, though, I think there are worse movies we have seen. It was not
overall, sure.
It was not a good movie, though. My second nominee was Swordfish.
Hey!
It's almost as if we had the same experience watching these. Yeah, it's just so 2001. The plot is all over the place. The soundtrack, the whole thing about Halle Berry's boobs, and then it didn't need to be there. It's a big hot mess. It's a hot mess.
Yeah.
We watched it. It's a thing we did. And the third movie that I never want to see again is Ted 2.
Okay.
Because we started the year with some R-rated sequels, and this is the kind of thing that was like the biggest R-rated movie of all time for a little while. The original Ted. So there was a lot of hope behind the sequel.
And we liked the first one.
We
it's not
did.
bad.
Yeah. And there's things in Ted 2 that were funny, but the overall core plot made me sad. And I don't want to watch Ted 2 and be sad. So I just don't think I need to go back to that movie. Like, they retconned things from the first one.
Yeah.
The happy ending kind of gets undone immediately for the sake of plot and because they couldn't get certain actors to come back.
Yeah, Mila Kunis did not come back, so they had to replace her with a younger blonde.
Yeah, so there's like cute things about it, but at the core of the story, I was disappointed. But ultimately, of these three nominees, I picked Swordfish because of all the reasons you said. I waited so long to watch it, and I probably could have went the rest of my life without doing it at all. But we did it. It's out of my system. I do not need to watch it again.
I could envision a world where I, at the very least, sit down to watch Swordfish again, but not in a, sitting down for a podcast and really analyzing it. No, it is to just sit down and make fun of it.
Yeah, that's the kind of movie you shit talk.
Yeah.
Like, drink and play a game while you do it.
Moving on from that. Betsy, this is our one new category this year. We didn't talk about which one we got rid of. Last year we did a category called Most A24 Movie based on the movie studio A24. We covered a lot of their movies last year, and they're all really weird.
We did like 5 or 6. We had so many to choose from.
Yeah.
And this year, we just really didn't have the scope of A24 that we did, so we nixed that category and replaced it with something spiritually similar.
Kind of. This category is entitled, What the Hell Did We Just Watch? Which is the reaction that we have after coming back after the break after watching the movie, and that's our immediate reaction. So Betsy, what are your 3 nominees for What the Hell Did We Just Watch?
My 3 nominees begin with Crank. This movie, starring Jason Statham, I knew what it was, but I didn't know how far they would go with this singular gag for the entire 90 minutes or whatever of this movie. And there are things he does in this movie where I'm just like, but, huh? What?
But you can't question it. You just got to move on.
You just got to move on. And there are moments that are really unbelievable. There are moments I completely buy. There's a lot of really funny things in this movie. But ultimately, you're left with, what the hell did we just watch? My second nominee is Repo Man.
Oh, yeah?
Because this is a very 80s cult movie. There's punk kids and aliens and glowing cars. And I'm just like, I didn't know what this was before we watched it. I've now watched it and I still don't know what it is.
I'm totally there with you, yep.
And my third nominee is Super Mario Brothers. Not the new one, the one from the 90s. And I primarily picked this because when I look at the cute video game franchise from the 80s, and then I look at this movie from 1993, I wonder who in the world made that leap?
What drugs were these people on?
What drugs were they on that said, this is the movie we've all been waiting for?
You know, when I think of Mario, I think of a British man, Bob Hoskins.
Doing a weird New York thing.
Right.
And then, dinosaurs that evolved into humans. And Dan Castellaneta has a voice in the beginning.
And Goombas are like 10 feet tall.
And they're underground in a secret alternate dimension. And there's so much going on here that I'm just like, what the fuck?
And back in the 1990 whatever, they only had a few games to crib from. Now there are like 30 plus years of video games that they can crib from. The new movie that came out this year is that movie that they needed to make.
but this ain't it.
That was not it.
Ultimately, though, I picked Repo Man because at least I could make sense of the other two movies. Repo Man, I still can't get my head around. Don't misunderstand me. I didn't dislike Repo Man. I just don't think I understood Repo Man.
It's a movie that you absolutely have that reaction to, though, because, again, we didn't really know what Repo Man was other than the reputation it had going into us recording that episode. That's it.
But with that being said, Trent, what are your nominees for this category?
Well, I will start with one that you already said. Crank is number one. That is a movie that, again, does not spend any time explaining anything. It just moves on to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, and all of these things are ridiculous. Down to the fact that there is a cameo from Chester Bedingfield of Linkin Park.
'Cause why not?
Just hanging out in the pharmacy of a hospital, and he's just there to say a couple of lines and then he's never heard from again. What the fuck? And like Jason Statham just being this like empty-headed guy who was just going along with whatever. I like that about him. And in this movie, it just kind of fits. I enjoyed the movie for what it was. I don't know if we need to watch the sequel. not to preview what we may or may not be doing in the future, but that was my first choice. My second choice was a movie that you've wanted me to watch since we started dating, and that movie is Shoot 'Em Up. The Clive Owen and Paul Giamatti classic. Betsy, that is another movie that just goes and goes and goes, doesn't explain anything, and it's just fucking dumb in the best way.
Absolutely.
It's this weird dynamic of Paul Giamatti and Clive Owen going back and forth at each other in this weird, literal Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd kind of a way. Watch the movie, listen to the episode, and you'll get that reference.
But it's also an action movie, and there's rock music and hookers.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, the soundtrack. The soundtrack of that movie is great. But my winner, Betsy, oh my God, I cannot believe that you did not put this on your list, and I'm very surprised. My winner is Virtuosity.
Okay, yeah, but here's the thing about Virtuosity. I at least followed it.
Yeah, sure, I completely got it, but the thing that really sold us was just the premise. We were scrolling through HBO one day, and we came across this thing with Russell Crowe and Denzel Washington. It's like, okay, I didn't know they made a movie together.
In the 90s.
Okay, this came out in the early 90s. Okay, it's kind of like this. Okay, what? And we immediately put it on the list and we had to watch it.
It's so bad, but it's also incredible.
It's fun.
That's
what's great about it. It's so fucking fun to watch. And that's a movie I almost put on my I want to watch it again thing.
This is the problem with this show, Trent. I only get 3 nominees.
Yep, that's what's hard about it.
Someone has to go. And believe me, Virtuosity has popped into my head a few times. It's just, is there a spot for it? And that is what you're going to find out in this awards show is, did I have room for it? Did I make room for it? Did it need to be here or did it get culled? But while we're on that topic, let's move to the next category, and that is the movie you can't stop thinking about. Now, this is different from wanting to watch it again. This is just a movie that since you've seen it has popped into your head and you just ruminate on it off and on ever since. So Trent, what are your 3 nominees for this category?
And like Betsy said, this is a very similar thing to movie that you really want to rewatch, but again, it's for different reasons. The first one on my list is Looper. Looper is a movie that, again, I wanted to rewatch immediately, and because I haven't watched it, it has been stuck in my mind, and it's just been kind of like scratching it at the inside of my brain. It wants to get out, but it just cannot get out of there until I watch it again. So Looper is definitely up there. Oppenheimer is my second one. Again, just me liking historical dramas and me wanting to like learn, but in an entertainment medium. Those kinds of movies are kind of my favorite to watch and rewatch because it just reinforces what it is. But my winner is one that you have mentioned and I haven't mentioned yet. That movie is Network. Network is a movie that it just defies description going into it not knowing anything. by God, there are some moments in that movie we're going to get to in a moment, I'm sure. There's some moments in that movie that just have stuck with me ever since we watched it, and I cannot say enough good things about Network. But Betsy, what do you got on your mind?
Well, as it happens, my first nominee is Network.
Okay.
Same thing as you. Like, there are some epic speeches, some incredible acting. There are just some moments where I was just kind of pressed against the back of my chair with my eyes wide open, and I'm receiving this information and I'm not ready for it. And then the movie ends and I'm like, what? Huh? So I have often thought about Network since we watched it.
It is an affecting movie. It affects you.
A very different movie is the second one, and this one might surprise you. The second movie I can't stop thinking about is My Neighbor Totoro.
Oh, okay.
We watched that movie way back at the beginning of this year. But it is so stinking cute and warm and fuzzy, and I had not had much experience with the Studio Ghibli movies up to this point. And this one just made me smile. And there were a few movies like this year where I was just like, I feel warm and fuzzy watching this movie. But like, it had a cute song and there were cute girls, and you and I continue to say, what a stupid bucket. All these months later.
It's also got the sister thing.
There's just
that
a
always
lot
gets
of
to ya.
There's just a lot of things, and it was just a nice movie. And I don't usually end up with a nice movie that I get to hold on to the whole year. So that's my second nominee.
Yeah.
And then the third one is True Romance. I mentioned it earlier. I would really love to watch this one because it was cool. It was a cool movie. It was an interesting movie. It was funny. It was violent in the way that Tarantino is, but it's also different than his other movies.
Yeah, it's in a different way.
Because it's not his movie. It's his movie through the lens of someone else.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was really interesting. And there's a lot of stuff that I'll think of, that scene or this scene. And it just keeps popping into my head, and I've been stewing about it, and that's why it goes into both categories, because I would really like to watch this one again.
I'm kind of surprised that that has come up a couple of different times for you.
And that is ultimately the one I picked. The one I cannot stop thinking about is True Romance, for all the reasons we've already touched on, and I don't know. I liked it. It's one of those movies where it's like, I feel like I could love this movie. And maybe that's what it is. I've gotten a taste, and I know there's that part of my brain that wants it to be a bigger part of my life. But I need to see it again to know if that's what that feeling is, or is it just a passing phase?
Betsy, you just need to witness Gary Oldman in his get-up again. As long as we're talking about style, let's move on to the next category that we are entitling Best Looking Movie. Now, this is not anything having to do with like acting or story or anything like that. This is a movie that you just like to sit down and look at because it's pretty, it's interesting, or it's just fucked up. Betsy, what are your nominees?
It's only come up once so far in this show, but my first nominee is John Wick 4.
Yeah.
I just remember all of the lighting when they're like on the roof of that hotel and there's like a fucking cherry tree and there's neon signs. And then there's those scenes in the club where they're having fights and they're in the front of the club and it looks cool. And they're in the back of the club and it looks cool. Everything in that movie is just so meticulously done that it just looks amazing. They thought about every set, every place that they were going to have a fight, and that's consistent with all of the movies in the series.
Yeah, totally.
But I picked this one ultimately just because I keep thinking of that shot of him on the roof with the tree and the neon and that singular moment alone. I remember when we watched it, I was like, fuck me, can they please nominate this for some kind of Academy Award? Because it deserves it.
That'd be fantastic, yeah.
My second nominee for this category is Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah?
So we've got to get an animated movie in here, and this is the one that has to be. Because it is doing so many different things. It is doing live action. It's doing animated.
A little bit, yeah.
It's doing stop motion and Lego and this and that. There's a little bit of everything to the design of this movie, and it's all integrated in a singular frame. That's fucking hard to do, and they pull it off.
And there's so many different Spider-Men in this movie. They all have their own style and like artistic interpretation, and like even the way they're drawn is different. And that translates from the page of the comic books into the movie. So yeah, it's very unique. It follows on with what the first one did.
And then they amp it up.
Yeah.
And my third nominee, and this was another one where I went back and forth. I had a really hard time narrowing down my final nominee.
Yeah,
for
this
those.
is a hard one.
I ultimately picked another animated movie. I picked Moana because of that singular fucking moment where we're looking at the waves and the sand. If you remember that moment where she wakes up on the beach, and it's the same thing they're doing in Spider-Verse, where they're kind of almost, it looks like mixed media because they had like the hand drawings on the chest for Maui, and then they've got this beautiful computer animation. And ultimately, I think I picked this one because I didn't expect to think this was a beautiful movie. But they're getting so good at certain types of animation like this that it stuck with me.
Yeah, like you saying that, it reminded me of that sand scene, how it kind of sticks to her wet skin. All of the different creatures later on in the movie, the animation on his chest, his tattoos. Also the Jermaine Clement section where he's a turtle, I think.
Or a crab.
Yeah, he's a crab.
Giant sea creature.
And he's got all of this like treasure around him, and all of that looks really shiny and pretty. Yeah, that's a great looking movie.
It's a subtle choice compared to these other two, but I wanted to acknowledge it and put it somewhere. Ultimately, though, I am picking Spider-Verse just because they take it to the 11th degree, and it's just phenomenal. And I cannot wait until they get to the next chapter to see how they amp it up even more.
Yeah, we were just talking about, oh geez, what is the next Spider-Verse movie? What is that called? And when is it coming out? Mainly when is it coming out? But I'm afraid we're gonna have to wait a little bit for that one. But for mine, surprisingly, mine are all different. My first one is Barbie.
I almost picked Barbie.
I'm very surprised.
That was one of them that I was really like, oh, do I want Barbie here?
I get to talk about it this time. Barbie is a movie that is, again, meticulously made, down to the fact that you have all of these different references to the toys, and they had such cooperation with Mattel that they were able to really nail it.
The packaging, the boxes.
The packaging of the boxes, you have the different stickers of the food in the refrigerator at the beginning of the movie.
They're real life rollerblades.
Yeah.
That are made to look like fake plastic rollerblades.
And these guys are plucked from their world into the real world, and they just stick out like a sore thumb. But then the regular people come back to the Barbie land, and yeah, it looks amazing. My second one is a mix between reality and CG. I picked Speed Racer.
Okay.
Speed Racer is a movie that is kind of almost all looks. Because the movie itself is fine. I was a little bit disappointed. I almost picked this one for disappointed. But the look of the movie, the style of the movie just completely shines through the rest of it. And this is a movie that I would love to have Speed Racer in 4K, a 4K version of it, just to be able to put it on the TV and watch it sometimes.
I remember near the end of that movie thinking the final scene was really exhilarating. Like some of those races are phenomenal to look at. So I get it. Yeah, I think that was also on my short list somewhere in this category.
Yeah, and a movie that I was not expecting to really like the style of. My winner is Tron.
Nice.
The 1983 classic starring Jeff Bridges is a movie that they kind of had to cobble together out of, string and buttons. in that how they constructed the outfits that they're wearing, how they had to use all these different camera tricks and different kinds of film and all of the non-computer animation, but it's actually computer animation stuff that they added on the top of it. It is really impressive for 1983. And just to look at it now in the highest definition that you could possibly get for a movie like that, the one thing that I came away from that movie with is just how well it still holds up.
I also found myself surprised at the end of that movie how much I enjoyed it. It's like not a good movie, but also it's a fascinating movie. And if you guys want to go back and listen to one episode that we both really enjoyed doing this year, it's that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot going on in that movie that you can draw from other movies. And I said at the end of that episode, if we weren't recording an episode about Tron, I would have said, hit play on number 2. Let's go. Let's keep watching.
Totally. And I fully want to watch Tron 2 eventually.
All right. Well, now we're doing a little bit more of a downer category.
Yeah, we got to have a couple of these in here.
We got to have some balance. And that category, Trent, is most disappointing. And this is once again open to interpretation, your own definition of what that means. Trent, what movies did you find to be your most disappointing?
So my first couple of disappointing movies are coming from two directors that are legendary in their field. And these movies are also kind of legendary in and of themselves. But my first one comes from George Lucas. It is American Graffiti. Now, American Graffiti is not a bad movie, but it has this aura about it that it is like the original nostalgia piece, if you want to call it that. It is from a guy who grew up in the 50s and the 60s, and he's kind of putting his own experiences on the screen. And when I look at it now, it's just not a movie made for our generation. Our generation's American Graffiti, we talked about this in the episode, our American Graffiti is super bad. So I can understand how somebody from our generation and younger is going to look at American Graffiti and just say, okay, that's kind of boring. They're just kind of driving around all the time. That's it? That's all you're doing?
It's one of those you had to be there kind of movies.
Yeah, and I understand that, yes, it is beloved by a whole lot of people. It's just not for me. My next one is again coming from a very famous director, and this movie is very, very famous. But my next one is Saving Private Ryan.
Ooh!
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna get people coming after you now.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie in the least bit. The beginning part of that movie is just some of the most visceral action I have ever seen in any other movie by far. Now, the rest of the movie, though, is, oh man, thinking about it now, however many months it's been since I've seen it, I just don't think I really need to go back and watch it. I don't think it was that impressive. I have seen better war movies for sure. And with as many people who were reaching out to say, yeah, it's not that great, you should watch Band of Brothers instead. Well, fuck, why don't we watch that instead?
Because it's a TV series.
Because it's a TV series and we can't do that.
This is a podcast about movies.
But you get my point.
Yeah.
So that's my number 2. My number 1, though. Oh, again, this is probably going to upset some people, but it's The Exorcist. The Exorcist was disappointing because it was The Exorcist. And I didn't get what people were expecting me to get.
I feel like that one, its issue is it is The Exorcist, and we have spent an entire lifetime being told what this movie is and how it's so scary and
right.
build up. We could have nothing but disappointment with The Exorcist.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think either of us thought that movie was bad. I just think that I'm a little bit with you, that it was disappointing that we didn't feel differently.
And I understand that that movie is 50 years old and, you know, the effects are what they are, the acting is what it is, but a movie like The Exorcist should have been a movie that is timeless. There's nothing timeless about that movie whatsoever. So that's my opinion. That's my winner. Betsy, what were you disappointed by this year?
All right. My first one that I nominated was Michael Clayton.
Okay.
Because I just kind of thought it was confusing and boring. This is one of those movies I've been hearing about for, 18 years or however long it's been since that came out?
Yeah.
And this is the movie Tilda Swinton won an Oscar for, and I'm like, but, huh?
There's so many others that she could have won for.
And there's just like, looking off into the distance at wild horses. And I'm like, what am I supposed to be taking out of this? And I've heard the same thing, like with The Exorcist. People love Michael Clayton. They think it's this great, great, great movie. And I didn't get it. I'm sorry. I just didn't. I found it disappointing.
We did get a crazy Tom Wilkinson, though, and that was worth the price of admission.
I was here for Tom Wilkinson. What he was doing there and why, I still don't quite know. My second one was Goon.
Oh, okay.
Because again, this was on our list for a really long time.
Forever.
And this is the same problem that I think I had with The Nice Guys last year, where I can see the bones. I can see the structure is sound, but you didn't lean hard enough into one thing or the other. And I just kind of thought it was a hot mess by the end of it.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be not so childish, if that's a word I can use.
But then there's also these moments that are like really beautiful. Like if it had just been a drama,
Right.
I'm like, yeah, if this had been a straight up drama, this scene would be really impactful.
And I even think in the episode I said I wanted them to go farther.
Yeah.
Like, make it this weird fucking movie that is all about this guy who is his whole thing is fighting. But no, he's just this kind of mild-mannered guy who's just kind of shuffling his feet and just doesn't speak up to people, and it's very strange. I'm with you.
So I think it just boils down to a tone problem with me on that one.
Yeah.
And then my third one is Snowpiercer.
Oh, okay.
Probably for the same reasons as you, where I had just heard about this movie. And I don't know if I had gotten a full report that it was bad. I think I was hoping it was one of those movies that, oh, well, only certain people really get this movie, or it's really good, but it's definitely a cult kind of movie. But this really isn't a cult movie. It's just kind of weird and upsetting. And
Yeah.
by the end, you're like, okay, that was Snowpiercer.
I wasn't expecting to be upset by the movie in that way. And again, I don't want to spoil what happens at the end, but there is definitely an end, and I wasn't satisfied by it. There's nothing satisfying in this movie whatsoever about all these different class systems all stuck on this train. I wanted somebody to get their comeuppance, and it really doesn't happen.
Ultimately, though, of these three, I picked Goon. Because I think of the three, I liked it the best, which made me that much more disappointed that I didn't like it more. Because all of the parts are there, I just needed it to be more of one thing and less of something else. And I didn't care which it was. I just wanted them to pick a lane. Because if they had gone full-on drama, that might have been an incredible movie and a different kind of role for Seann William Scott. And Liev Schreiber being there would have made a whole lot more sense. But it also could have worked. It was fully a goofy-ass comedy because Liev Schreiber does not do goofy-ass comedy.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to see that.
Needed to be more Canadian.
I guess so.
All right. Moving on to our next category. We're going to get a little emotional here. This is a category we introduced last year. It is called Movie That Made You Cry.
Now that we've been disappointed, we have to start the waterworks.
Other emotions coming through. Betsy, you are the crier of the group here.
I have been known to cry on occasion.
What were your 3 movies that made you bawl?
I'm going to tell you right now, Trent, I had a lot more than 3 movies on this list before I narrowed it down. But I ultimately picked the 3 where I was kind of ugly crying. Like there was some ugly crying that happened when I watched some of these movies. The first one being Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Yeah, I figured you were going to have that one.
Because it kept coming up. It happened, and then it happened again, and again, and again. And I don't know if it's because I was in that place of, this is the last one of these, and I'm enjoying this, but also I hate this, or they just know how to get me.
And you love these characters. We both
I'm invested.
do. Yeah.
And there's some shit that happens in that movie that is devastating. So we'll leave it at that. My second one was Clerks 3.
I'm shaking my fist right now.
And this one is ultimately because I think I didn't see it coming. And I'm not gonna lie, when I was listening to the episode again, I started doing it again.
Betsy, we were kind of crying while recording that episode.
Correct.
Yeah.
And my third nominee was A Man Called Otto. Because I don't know if you remember, Trent, as those credits were rolling, I was a mess.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a movie that I'm crying through the whole way, but I'm being pulled. Like, the string is being tugged.
It's the whole journey.
It's the whole journey and then the release at the end of the movie. And it took me several minutes to compose myself
Yep.
before we could record. But ultimately, my pick is Clerks 3. And I think it's because that was the last thing I expected to do
Yeah.
when watching that movie, was to bawl like a little baby. Kevin Smith, we have a history with now. He
Yes.
has been a recurring character in this podcast, and we have done the whole gambit of his movies.
He's also liked a couple of our tweets, so.
He has. That was like the highlight of 2023. But I'm watching this movie, and I've gone on this journey with him, and we get to Clerks 3, which is the last entry of the last View Askew-universe movie that we're probably gonna get.
Until Mallrats 2, of course.
I guess. And I started sobbing. And then I listened to the episodes and I'm starting to sob again. And if I start crying when I'm listening to us talk about the movie, yeah, I have to give it to Clerks 3.
All right, well, we'll pick it up right there because my first one is Clerks 3, of course. Because, again, I have a longer history with these characters than you do. I started watching these movies when I was in high school and soon after. And it is such this personal story. He's taking things that have actually happened to him in real life and applying it to these characters who have grown up in front of us. They're not much older than us, maybe 10 years or a little bit older, but still, to have all these things happen to these characters that you both love and hate, but to have such a reaction to what happens here is, again, I don't think I have ever... Maybe the time when we were recording the episode about the father, the only time I ever actually started to break down on the podcast, and I don't do that. So that's my number one. My number two is similar to when we watched The Father. It was About Time.
Oh, yeah.
Because there is a moment there near the end of the movie that's about dads.
It's about
And
dads.
I'm a sucker for... Man, I'm a sucker for a good or sad dad story that just gets to me. Go back and listen to the episode about The Father and watch The Father. Oh my God, if you haven't watched The Father. It is such a devastating movie, and I'm shaking right now because of it. So I'm not going to reveal what happens, of course. You can interpret what I'm saying as you will. But I think About Time really got to me because of that, and because it was such a sweet movie that I wasn't expecting to really enjoy that much. But Betsy, speaking of being very personal, my winner is 8th Grade.
Oh no!
Because we talked about it in the episode, that movie spoke to me a hell of a lot more than it did you, because the movie is about this girl in middle school. I wasn't a girl, but I was this kind of person who was very quiet, very reserved, introverted, didn't really have a lot of friends, and I had a hard time. That kid was going through the same stuff that I was going through, and it really got to me, down to the fact that, the relationship between the father and the daughter, I think, was the most impactful for me. That scene around the fire really got to me the most, because it's really the first time that they're able to talk to each other as adults.
It's another dad moment.
It's
you love
another
a sad dad moment.
I do, and that's the stuff that really gets to me. So that is my winner, is 8th Grade.
That was on my short list too, Trent. As I said when we began this category, I cried a lot this year. 2023 was the year of the waterworks. I'm not gonna lie. I think I had 7 or 8 nominees that I had to whittle down.
I had a few more as well.
I ultimately picked the ones where I was like straight up ugly crying, because it got ugly.
I on my short list was A Man Called Otto. I don't think I had Guardians on there, but I knew you were going to. So
because there was some ugly crying.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's lighten things up a bit here. We're getting close to the end of this awards show. Our next category is kind of a fun one. It's going to be favorite moment or sequence.
Yeah, this is a category that can be anything. There are infinite possibilities here. It could be down to something very minute that just kind of tickled you, or some giant sequence that went on for 20 minutes.
So that being said, Trent, what are your 3 nominees for your favorite moment or sequence?
Okay, so going along with the crying part is a moment in Philadelphia. Now, it's not a sequence that really got me like emotional or anything like that, but it was just a beautiful moment in the movie where the main character basically knows he's going to die. And that's not a spoiler. Everybody knows what Philadelphia is about. The moment is when Tom Hanks is in his apartment with Denzel Washington, and Denzel is doing his lawyer thing and asking him a bunch of questions about, end of life stuff. Your partner's really going to need a lawyer. I got some recommendations for you. And really, Tom Hanks couldn't care less about what's happening here because he knows that he's going to die. And he just kind of stops and turns on some music. He turns on some opera music. And he just starts going around dancing. And it's in this moment where he just starts to feel the music. He starts to just express what he is feeling through all of this art. And he is just expressing what he is feeling as this music is just swelling up inside of him. And he's just enjoying life. He is enjoying some part of life that he's not going to be able to enjoy for much longer.
And the director emphasizes it because this doesn't look like any other part of the entire movie.
And in this moment, you have all this different lighting stuff happening with him and on Denzel, because Denzel is transfixed by what he is witnessing. To the point where he's just kind of uncomfortable by the end of this, where he just takes his briefcase and he leaves.
But he's also intrigued.
Yeah.
He wants to get closer, but he needs to back away.
Exactly. That was my first moment here. My next one is nothing like that one. It is from the movie Network, and there's a lot of different moments that I could have chosen from that movie, but my favorite one is near the end of the movie where there's a meeting happening with, let's just call them the militant communists who are negotiating TV broadcasting rights and profit sharings. So, yeah, just that entire sequence and just the ridiculousness of the concept of a militant communist group negotiating their contract for profit sharing. It is one of the funniest moments we've had this entire year. But my absolute winner, I wrote this down well before we started talking about like award shows or anything like that or categories. I wrote this down immediately after we watched this movie. It is from the movie Looper. And it is the portion where, this requires some setup here, but it is the portion where the old Paul Dano comes into where the young Paul Dano is, and as the young Paul Dano is being tortured and mutilated in the present, the future Paul Dano starts to have his body mutilated in the same way.
In real time.
In real time, as it is happening to him, but actually in the future. It's really hard to describe, but Betsy, I know you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly the moment, and it's an impressive scene. It's also one of the most disturbing things we saw all year.
It sold me on this movie, and that happens like 20, 25 minutes in the movie.
It's early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It shows you how this world works, because this old guy went back in time, and as his younger body is mutilated, there is scarring happening on his older body in real time. And that just, wow.
And the way they do it was like a lot of practical effects too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an impressive sequence.
Yeah.
In a movie full of impressive sequences.
And that little moment has stayed with me the entire way. That has been my winner ever since we watched that movie.
Fantastic. Yeah, this is another category. I have had so many little moments.
Yeah.
So many things I wanted to include. I'm going to tell you right now a couple that I did not include just because I know you'll find them funny. The first thing I wrote way at the beginning of the year was Liam Neeson buying tricks.
Yep.
From Ted 2. If there's one thing about that movie I enjoyed, it was Liam Neeson showing up and being very concerned that tricks are in fact for kids and what's going to happen to him if he buys these. That has amused me the entire year. I also wrote down every speech in Network, like just blankly, every speech in Network.
By the guy?
No, just every speech. Anytime somebody gets up there and gives a long diatribe.
Okay.
It's just incredible. But I can't pick every scene and every sequence, so I narrowed it down because I had to. My first favorite moment or sequence is I'm Just Ken from Barbie. This might be really cliche. I know there's a lot of people on the internet who are fucking sick of this song, but I'm going to tell you right now, I am here for a movie that does not need a musical number, including an elaborate musical number.
And dance.
And dance. And every guy, every Ken is doing this crazy choreography. They're all really singing. Everyone is giving 110%. To the degree that just a week ago, we got a special EP of 4 more versions of I'm Just Ken. Do we need this in the world? Most people are sick of it. I am not. You can just keep giving me this because I loved it. And it might be not your cup of thing, but in this movie, in this context, even out of context, I was here for I'm Just Ken.
Yeah, I like the sequence. I'm not in love with the song itself.
Oh,
but
the more I listen to it, the more I'm into it.
Just the fact that they did it and how elaborate it was on its own set.
Yes.
Yeah, that sequence was great.
My second nominee is the opening scene for All Quiet on the Western Front.
Okay, you're going to have to remind me.
Literally, the opening sequence is there is this young soldier who goes to the trenches and dies. Then they take his uniform, they wash his uniform, they mend the uniform, and while they're using the sewing machine, it's the sound of machine guns, and then they give the uniform to the next guy. And it is a metaphorical machine talking about how this war was just a fucking waste of life, and this is what they did.
Yeah.
They gave him the uniform, they sent him out, they died. They take the uniform back, they clean it up, they give it to the next guy, and this goes over and over and over again.
And in that scene, wasn't there like a name tag of the previous dude on that thing still there? And at the desk where the new guy's gonna get it, they say, "Oh, never mind that," and they rip it off.
It must have been too small for him.
Right.
And it's the fact that the movie is setting up what we, the viewer, know and what they do not know.
The fact that it's just a meat grinder.
And you carry this scene with you the whole movie. And I already touched on the score of this movie being phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it just adds to it. And that sequence is maybe the thing that sold me on this movie to begin with.
And we could have an entire category of score, but it's a lot harder to really describe in audio form because it's just like in the moment kind of thing. So
yeah.
we don't have an audio category.
And my third favorite moment or sequence is when I'm calling Ding Dong Donnie Yen from John Wick 4.
Okay.
When he first appears in his first battle scene, Donnie Yen is sitting in a kitchen eating ramen noodles, and not a spoiler, but his character is blind. And in order to fight the bad guys, he is throwing these little things around, and we don't know what they are. And it's not until one of the bad guys crosses the line, it is an automatic doorbell. And every time it dings, he jumps out and attacks them.
Yeah.
That is how he is finding them. And ultimately, this was the sequence I picked because it's so fucking clever and funny. And Donnie Yen is an underrated gem for his comedic timing, for his fighting skills. I was so happy he was in this movie.
And it so much.
And he's incredible in it. But this scene in particular is his moment to shine.
Yeah.
And it's just every time it goes, ding dong, and he just leaps out and attacks somebody. I do want to throw in a runner-up. This is not a real thing. It's mostly just for me. But one of my favorite moments of the year was Jeff Goldblum has my hair from The Fly.
That's a moment for us. Okay, as long as you had some extras, I have to throw in one extra one.
Hit me.
It is the moment in American Splendor where Paul Giamatti at the beginning of the movie, he is getting in line at the grocery store.
Yes.
And it is the chain of consciousness. Okay, what line do I get in? Do I get into the long line that's going faster, or do I get behind the old Jewish woman who is there purchasing cups of some kind with coupons? And she says this story about, I was here last week when the cups were this price, but you had to buy 12. And I talked to the manager then, and I only bought 6 then, so I'm going to buy 6 more now. So you need to just go and talk to your manager and get me for this. And while this is all happening, Giamatti is back there with this animated sequence behind him, just talking to himself. And this is before he really has the comic all kind of flashed out in his head. Like, this is what the comic is. This is his life. And it's these little moments that really get to him. And by the way, for Christmas, I bought Betsy an American Splendor anthology. We haven't really looked at it yet because it just happened. And yeah, we're really excited for that.
I also got you that picture of the magazine cover from The Fly.
That's right. All right. Moving on to our favorite category, of course. It is one that we introduced last year, and it requires a little bit of setup. It is called the Peter Stormare Spirit Award. Now, if you don't know who Peter Stormare is, yes, you do. If you've seen a lot of different movies, if you've seen John Wick 2, if you've seen Constantine, if you've seen Armageddon, he's usually the crazy Russian-looking guy and Russian-sounding guy.
Minority Report, The Lost World, Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
He's in a lot of movies.
He's in a lot of different movies, and he has this energy that just makes every single movie and every single scene that he's in better for it. So we named a category after him. The original premise about this is because, hey, all of these things are about movies. We don't have any acting awards. So these are going to be our nominees for this year. Betsy, why don't you go ahead?
So this is another one of those categories that has been open to interpretation. You and I have had different versions of what we think this means. Sometimes it's they show up unexpectedly, one scene, act crazy, and then go away.
Yep.
But this year I've kind of trickled over a little bit more to your side in that I've got larger appearances on my list as well. The first one being Jason Momoa in Fast X.
Yeah.
Somehow he makes absolutely no sense in this movie, but also he makes perfect sense in this movie. He is just having the time of his fucking life.
He's having so much fun.
But he is also genuinely a villain. There are moments he is terrifying. And I just had such a thrill watching him. When I was listening to this episode, preparing for this awards show, his name popped into my mind and I haven't been able to shake it. So I had to include him here.
And I want Jason Momoa to do more things like this. I don't need him to be this, action star. He's a goofy motherfucker. Let him be goofy.
Absolutely. And here he actually got to do it. And he's the only one for the most part.
Yeah, because everybody else is fucking deadly serious. Fuck that. This is fun.
My second nominee, and this was tricky because I was torn between two for the same movie.
Oh.
But ultimately, I picked Gary Oldman in True Romance.
Okay.
This character is so bizarre, so unusual, and so unforgettable. Good, bad, and everything in between. There's a whole conversation that can be had about, is this character okay in 2023?
It was never okay back then, but it's still interesting.
And finally, my third nominee is Tilda Swinton in Snowpiercer.
Okay.
Because she, again, is so very odd in this movie. And there were a few people, in this movie in particular, that could have gone into this category, and I had to pick somebody. And I ultimately picked her because she is doing something that no one else in this movie is doing. And you have to sit and watch it going, do I love this? Do I hate this? What is this?
And she's the only one putting on an accent?
A whole character.
Yeah. And nobody else is really doing that. And you're just kind of questioning, is this a choice of the actor? Is this just this weird person's affectation?
Was it written this way?
Was it written as a person with an accent? Or did she just show up one day and just tell the director, no, my character has an accent?
But I just can't get out of my head when she's just like, you are a shoe. I'm the hat. You're a shoe. And it's just like, what are you doing,
she
Tilda?
has these weird teeth, and this outfit is just ridiculous.
So she had to go in this category.
All right.
Ultimately, though, I am giving the 2023 Peter Stormare Spirit Award to Jason Momoa because I just so enjoyed this, and I thought from the commercials I was gonna hate him and everything he was doing because it didn't feel right when you're watching the trailer. And when you get it in the context, I'm like, no, that man is having the time of his fucking life, and it is giving me the time of my life.
He's like fucking giggling everywhere, and so am I.
Yeah, he literally leaps through the air at one point and goes, wee! So I had to. I could not shake it. Jason Momoa, congratulations.
Good choices. All right. For my nominees for the Peter Stormare Spirit Award of 2023, I'm starting with Kate McKinnon in Barbie.
Yes!
As Weird Barbie.
Weird Barbie.
Just the idea that the writers of this movie had the idea that, you know what everybody did when we were kids? We fucked up our Barbies in a lot of different ways, and this character is the amalgamation of everything that these little girls have done over the decades to their Barbies. And I think, she just kind of embodies it in not only just like the makeup and everything else that she's done up as, but just her attitude and her body movements.
This is who she is.
Yeah. So I don't think we've actually had a woman as a nominee yet.
I think she may be the first.
We didn't have any for last year.
Just Tilda Swinton today, so we've both got
there
one.
There we go. My next one is a guy that we've mentioned a whole lot during our podcast whenever he shows up. He's only shown up once so far this year. And my second nominee is John Goodman. He was in Speed Racer this year, and he didn't really have a memorable performance in Speed Racer itself, but every time we can experience a John Goodman role in anything, I am a happy man.
You're always excited when it's like, hey!
There he is!
That's the reaction. It's my buddy! It's my guy!
Yeah, and he's not like this little weirdo. I think he's an incredible actor, and really this category has turned into, these are actors that never really get the spotlight. They never get the starring roles in anything, but they're always top-notch anytime they get cast in anything. But my winner, Betsy, I'm revisiting the winner of the first category of this award season is Allison Janney in Drop Dead Gorgeous. That woman is just the embodiment of white trash Midwestern mom who just go back and listen to that episode. We're just raving about Allison Janney in this movie. She has this attitude about her that she just does not give a fuck about anything. She will say anything.
This is before people knew who she was.
Yeah.
But she was already fully formed as what we all know her for now.
Yeah.
She's perfect. Congratulations, Allison Janney.
Yeah. I had two ladies in mind. Before we get to our final finale category, I wanted to mention a category that I kind of came up with, but we realized there's really only 3 movies that we could actually have chosen for it. The category we came up with is called Worst Product Placement.
As in, like, the most egregious product placement.
You could even say, like, the most disgusting product placement. Anytime it's, like, really overt, we always have to point it out anytime we're doing an episode about that movie.
And we ultimately didn't pick it because it's made more difficult by the fact that we are picking from different movies. Because it's stuff that I have only seen or you have only seen.
Well, and there's only really 3 movies that really could have qualified. So I'll just tell you the ones that I came up with anyway. The first one was the movie Crank. There is a whole bunch of energy drinks everywhere, and the logos are very prominent. I guess there's another one. We did Hackers. Hackers had a whole bunch of stuff with Nikon, Coca-Cola, Jolt Cola, Rollerblade. A Man Called Otto had a really, really disgusting one at the end of the movie. It is the Chevy EV truck that is presented at the end as like this thing that this character has wanted his entire life when he's never mentioned it before. And it is very prominent. They say the name of the truck, they say the name of the brand.
And it's inconsistent with his character.
Exactly. And that just bothered me. But the one that is just the worst by far is Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh yeah, when I was looking into this as a possibility, I was like, oh yeah, remember how they just keep mentioning the Olive Garden 400 times?
Uh-huh. The end of the movie is literally somebody coming to their door and handing them Olive Garden gift cards.
Yeah.
And they have like the bags with the logo on it. Yeah, that was the worst one. But they also had Mellow Yellow, of all things. We talked about that. What movie has Mellow Yellow as a brand?
It's an odd choice.
Yeah. They also say Zillow a whole lot. There's Corona, there's the CVS on the corner, he drives a Toyota, and there's a lady who says, not like my step tracker or my whatever tracker, it's a Fitbit. Specifically Fitbit.
Yeah, that movie was very much sponsored.
It was rotten. It was fucking rotten with the product placement. It was disgusting. And you know what my thought is about that? I feel like they went and got a bunch of these extra sponsors to pay for the fact that they had to redo the character, all the different CG for the character.
That could very well be the case because it's like, so we'll remake the movie, but here's what it's going to cost you.
This is the trade-off. Yeah. But anyway, we did not use that category. Sonic the Hedgehog would have won anyway, so there you go.
Yeah, there's an unofficial winner for an unofficial category. But yes, we do have just one category remaining, and that is the favorite new movie that you watched. So of all the new movies, to you, Trent, what 3 were your favorites?
All right. My first one is a movie that we have not mentioned yet so far on the podcast. And this has happened last year too. Last year, my winner of my favorite movie that I watched that year had not been mentioned in any other categories, but won for my favorite movie. This one does not win, but my first nominee is Rocky. We watched Rocky for the first time this year. Both of us did. And holy crap, I can see why people really love that movie and love that series. It is just this bedrock underdog story of like this guy coming from nothing, you know, going up the ranks, and he didn't really go up the ranks. He just got chosen out of a book. But it's this guy who is just this, you know, he's a really sweet guy, and he's unassuming, and you could even say he comes from the wrong side of the tracks. He hangs around with the wrong kind of people, and he's just had a hard life. And just the fact that they can make this movie about this boxing guy into this phenomenon. And it's Sylvester Stallone wrote and directed and starred in this movie. That is incredible that this guy actually did that and has continued to do it his entire career.
We're still getting Rocky movies.
Yeah.
50 years on.
So I had to say something about Rocky. It was really, really good.
That's the hard thing about this awards show is we watch so many movies and you've got to cut something. And yeah, I also thought of Rocky a number of times. And I'm like, I don't know where to put it. I don't have a spot for it. And it breaks my heart.
Yeah, I had to include it here just because it's one of these classic movies that I finally understand why it has endured and spawned so many sequels and so many other, like, not even rip-offs, but like other like boxing movies. How many boxing movies have there been since Rocky? And how many were there before? Not a lot.
Probably not.
So anyway, that's my number 1. Number 2 is Looper. Rian Johnson has become one of our favorite directors on this show. We've only covered a couple of his movies so far, but his mind is very interesting. This guy is a fucking nerd, and it comes out in his writing and everything else. There's all sorts of different like Star Wars references, or at least it is kind of evoking a lot of the Star Wars like powers and just the nature of the world anyway. And the more I think about it, because it was in that category of like movies that have not left my mind, that is a movie that I really want to revisit here and understand it more. I want to get into the world of Looper more. But Betsy, my winner for this category, a favorite movie that I watched this year, is another one that comes from, decades and decades ago, much like last year. My winner is Network.
I kind of wondered.
I think both of us were just completely dumbfounded by just the forward-thinking nature of the writing in that movie, and just the fact that they would have had no idea where the world and where media has gone since the making of that movie, and how prescient it still is to this day. It just is brilliant. I don't know how else to describe it.
The fact they actually predicted the future in a world where they wrote something that they said, well, this is so silly, it could never happen.
Yeah, this is just ridiculous. We're amping it up so high. No. This is made back when like a guy like Walter Cronkite and all these other newsmen were just respected as hell.
Newsmen.
Yeah, newsmen.
Real news guys.
They were some of the most trusted people out there, and you could see why a guy like this character could go from, this respected anchor man to this fucking kook, because everything that comes out of his mouth comes from some kind of, realm of truth, because he wouldn't just make stuff up, would he?
Not the trusted newsman.
Yeah. But yeah, Network, my winner. Betsy, what do you got?
Before we move on to mine, I also find it interesting that 2 out of your 3 are from the 70s.
Yeah.
A topic that we have touched on a lot. We have not spent a lot of time in that decade. And it is nice to know that we are finding the gems when we don't think it's a place we want to be.
And neither one of them are like really, really uplifting. I guess Rocky kind of is. But Network is not like a cheery movie. Like, there's some really dark stuff in there, especially at the very end.
But it's a really good movie.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
And that is why it is one of my favorite first-time watches of 2023. For every reason we keep bringing up, I just watched this movie with my mouth hanging open because I was just floored. I didn't know that this is what this movie was going to be. And it amazed me. And I didn't expect to be amazed. So who the hell knew? I don't know. We keep talking about the 70s and how it was this dark time in America, and there's a lot of angry movies that came out of it, dirty, realistic, and I don't love feeling that way. But then every once in a while you get something like this that is just sharp and clever and funny, and I'm just amazed. I'm amazed. So I had to put it in here. It went on my list, literally in my notes that I've been keeping all year in case there was something that I felt could be coming up at the end of the year, and nothing ever bounced it off.
Yeah.
My second one, and I mentioned it once before, was My Neighbor Totoro.
All right.
Because once again, this movie is so cute, and I have had 2 experiences up to this point watching Studio Ghibli movies, and neither of them had been like great. They're not bad, but I just was like, okay, Spirited Away, so many people love this movie, and that wasn't it for me.
I love that movie, but that was mainly a time and a place thing for me. It was also relating to the nature in which I received that movie, how it was presented to me. So it was more of a personal thing for me, but I get what you're saying.
But it just completely changed my feeling. Like, I finally found a Studio Ghibli movie that is for me, that I like, and it makes me inspired to want to watch more. Like, when you've watched 2 and I'm like, I don't know if I get this. I don't know if Studio Ghibli is for me. Then I kind of have to wonder, okay, do I want to keep going down this path?
Right, because you had seen one before Spirited Away.
I had seen Princess Mononoke many, many years ago.
Yeah.
And again, don't really think I liked it that much. But this one just filled me with joy. And I really, really liked it. And every once in a while, I'm like, Totoro, Totoro, just singing the little song. It's so cute. Like, it just makes me want to squeal with delight.
Yeah.
And the third movie, and again, we had so many great first-time watches, and I was struggling, but I needed to include this one because, again, on the list for a while, had a great time watching it, felt very personal. My third nominee is The Mitchells versus the Machines.
Holy shit. Okay.
Because it was so like looking into a mirror at times, like for elements of our childhood and what it was like with our own fathers, and just, I don't know.
Another dad movie?
Another dad moment. And it's just funny and weird and colorful and charming. And I needed it to have a place somewhere.
Yeah.
In this awards show.
And it goes back to what we talk about in the past, where we like movies and just media in general that depicts families as kind of messy. There's no perfect family. There's no perfect mother or father or kids or pets, you know?
Right.
Things are messy. That's life. And that movie really just encapsulated how, you know, growing up is tough and growing apart from your family is tough. And you don't want to do it, but it just happens.
And if you're a little weirdo, you have to find your pocket of weirdos.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means going away from home and finding a new place. And sometimes your parents don't get you, and the journey to finding that place together, like you have to understand your dad better and your dad has to understand you better.
Yeah.
And those are great themes, and I'm glad we finally included this movie.
Yeah, it's a great message.
Now, picking of these three movies, ultimately, Trent, I went down to what am I gonna put on? What do I want to rewatch? And what makes me feel good? And my favorite new first-time watch is My Neighbor Totoro.
Yay!
I seriously have not stopped thinking about this movie since we watched it, and it's so whimsical and fucking adorable, and it makes me want to watch more movies from this studio, which is not something I maybe would have said just based on the previous ones.
Yeah.
I love his big dumb face when he's standing there and doesn't know what's going on, and there's like magical cat bus, and the children are like flying through the air on a top, and I'm just like, everything is making me so happy.
What a stupid bucket.
But that's it, everybody. That is the 2023 Never Seen It Awards.
If you didn't already know, Betsy and I are very different people. We are married. We've been married now for 12 years. And if that final result there doesn't tell you how different of people we are, I don't know what else to tell you. Between Network and My Neighbor Totoro, very, very different choices.
Somewhere in between there is us as a couple.
Exactly. But that just shows you how varied of movies that we watch sometimes. Like this year has been, again, like every year, has been just a roller coaster for us. You know, between everything that is actually happening in our real life, you know, Betsy changed jobs and I'm continuing to work from home, and doing this podcast is just kind of a release for us. We get to sit down and talk to you all twice a week now, and it's really, really fun. But Betsy, we're not quite done with this episode yet. We've been promising something now for a couple of months now. Little announcement about what we're going to be doing in 2024.
Yeah, we have been doing this podcast now for almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And in the month of December, we needed to take a little bit of a break, and we cut it down to one episode a week.
Yeah.
Well, we hope that you like that change, because moving forward in January, we're just going to have one episode a week on the main feed on Sundays.
But Betsy, hold on a second. You said the main feed. What does that mean?
Well, Trent, that means that we have a little bit of an announcement. We will still have 2 episodes a week because we're starting a Patreon!
We are starting a Patreon. And Betsy, not only are we doing that, we are launching 4 new shows for that Patreon.
That is insane, Trent.
It is insane. We're going to continue to do 2 episodes a week, but on the Wednesdays, all of those shows, all of those episodes are going to be posted exclusively on our Patreon feed. Now, Betsy, I just said we're doing 4 new shows. Let's talk a little bit about those, but just so you're aware, we're going to release a much longer description and a much longer episode tomorrow. As you're listening to this on New Year's Eve, on New Year's Day, on Monday, we're going to put out a separate bonus episode talking about the Patreon, everything that we're going to be covering. But for now, we're just going to give you a very slight version of what each show is going to be. The first show, the first week of every month, you're going to get a show called the Never Seen It Movie Club.
We've been posting on social media, something with that hashtag for a while, but we haven't had a place for us to talk about the movies we love. We're always reacting to movies we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
And the few times one of us has seen it, you see how excited we get. We want to keep that excitement going, so we're dedicating an entire show to our own personal Hall of Fame.
That we are calling the Never Seen It Movie Club. Our second show is a show that Betsy has been working on now for quite a long time. It is called Reel Love.
That's real with 2 E's.
R-E-E-L, love.
And I am going to subject my cynical husband
That's me.
to romance movies. Rom-coms, romance, period drama. It's all about love, baby.
That's right. Our third show is a show that we are calling Box Set. Now, this is going to be in the vein of something that we've kind of been doing a little bit here and there on the Never Seen It show, where Betsy and I will sit down and watch a whole bunch of movies in the same series of movies. Think about when we did the entire Fast and Furious series. Think about when we did all of Twilight. All of those movies are in the same family movies. Box Set is going to be exactly that, but we are going to allow ourselves to watch movies that we've already seen. Think about when we did John Wick. We couldn't cover the first John Wick because we had already seen it. We would have been able to watch all 4 of them within Box Set. To start off, we're actually going to be covering maybe a trilogy here or there of, let's just say, series that people definitely know.
You definitely know them.
Yeah. And the fourth and final show we are putting up on the Patreon will be called The Wayback Machine.
Instead of hemming and hawing about what movie to do next for the podcast, we are letting fate decide. The Wayback Machine will send us back in time to an unknown year, and we have to pick from what would have been playing at the movie theater at that time.
At that time, yeah.
So you can tune in tomorrow to hear all about these shows in more detail. We're going to have that special out sometime tomorrow. And we hope you'll join us for all of that fun.
Yes, join us. Patreon.com/NeverSeenItPod. We got that URL, guys. Patreon.com/NeverSeenItPod. You're going to be hearing a whole lot of that going forward now. But just to reiterate, the Never Seen It podcast in its current form will continue every single Sunday. We'll be putting out another episode for free on the main feed, just like we have been for the past almost 3 years. 290 episodes. Holy shit.
We are closing in on some further milestones.
Yeah.
And we hope that you'll come along with us on that journey. But until then, we would love to hear your thoughts on 2023, on all of these movies that we nominated, on all the movies we didn't nominate, on the movies that won. We want to hear your thoughts. Email us, neverseenitpod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, all of those places. We post a lot of fun stuff on there. Rate us 5 stars, write us a review, and of course, brand new, join our Patreon, patreon.com/NeverSeenItPod. So tune in tomorrow, listen to that episode. We hope that you will join us. Thank you so much for listening to us for another year. 2023 in the books, Trent.
In the books, y'all.
And we could not have done it without you, listeners. We so appreciate it if you've made it all the way to the end of this episode and through this entire calendar year with us on our cinematic journey.
Again, thank you very much for listening, especially all the way to this very, very long episode. We love talking about movies, if you could not already tell. We love doing this. We love doing it for ourselves, but we especially love to do it for you guys. So again, thank you for listening. If you want to help us out, go to the Patreon. Tell your friends about the Patreon. Help make Never Seen It the biggest podcast in the world.
Our podcasting empire begins 2024.
Next year.
Next year. Which is like any second now.
Yeah.
But until then, this has been Never Seen It. My name is Betsy.
My name is Trent.
And we'll see you next year.
Bye-bye.